So Pete, you've been in the guitar game for some years now.
Oh boy.
Could you talk a
Okay.
bit about your career, how you started out playing the guitar, and
Um.
how you got into you've been in the Brian Jonestown Massacre, right?
Oh yeah. Started. I discovered Jimi Hendrix actually, and Pink Floyd. I guess at 14, 15.
Yeah.
Bus. Got in trouble. Was grounded, and my mom happened to have a guitar, and I was. It was one of those where I was grounded for a year or more. So I was stuck in my room.
Yeah. So
So
the
I
only
asked-
thing to do was to practice the
I asked her
guitar.
for her guitar, and she gave me this nylon string guitar, and so that's, I guess, That's how it started, and from there met Robert in high school,
Hmm.
and I was started with and then I got a little PV Falcon kind of knockoff of a Fender, and started writing right away. Was bringing that to school, and then I had an acoustic. Yeah, I bring the acoustic. Rob would see me, and I was playing in bars. I play in a couple bars. Am I attracting flies? That's perfect. That means you've been on the road.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's all right. No. I played in bars randomly. One of the schools, the colleges in the town nearby would have open mic nights, and
Yeah.
I talked to the guy that was the teacher and asked him if I could do an open mic with his school. That would, he would have them play, and just to get him, and asked him if I could do it, and I did it. And I was telling my friends about it, and Rob was kind of an acquaintance, and he heard me talking, and then none of my friends came, but Rob came, so he became
Okay.
a friend that way. And then we started playing, and then the Jonestown happened. After that, we were fans of the Brian Jonestown Massacre.
How did you get the gig with them?
Through Rob's dad. His dad was working with the engineer for their second or third record, Take It From the Man, I think it was
Yeah.
called.
So it's all
And,
through networking
Well,
and
yeah,
lucky.
Yeah, lucky. And it was really, they needed a van. I had a van. I was.
That's always a great selling
Yeah.
point.
Well, they were looking to get to South by Southwest. They didn't have any way to get there, and I happened to have a van, and I couldn't play worth it. But I could do the chords.
Mm.
But and I was just a fan, so that I basically tried out. They had people come in and out, and I think they wanted the band more than me, really. And I was already playing with Rob, so I wasn't too stressed. I just thought it would be a good way to learn how to, they were going to move down to Los Angeles, and some guitar players didn't want to move, and I said I would, so.
So you've actually built up all of your guitar skills on the road. You don't have any like formal training or
No.
No.
My mom showed me 2 days of. She played kind of. She showed me how to finger pick, kind of flamenco style a little bit. She taught me a song called Malagueña, I think is the name of it. I don't know how to pronounce it right. And then from there, that was the only. Oh, well, and Michael, Robert's dad, Michael. He kind of, I wasn't horribly. I grew up doing symphonic band. I played trombone,
Okay.
marching band,
Yeah.
jazz band, from Minnesota. From Minnesota, I had that. I was playing that instrument, so I had symphonic stuff, and so I didn't really much give a shit about 4/4 at the time. And then Michael kind of reined me in a little bit, and was like, "Okay, you can't really play with other people if you're gonna be that spacey," as was obvious with me trying to loop. I have pretty poor timing.
I think it went pretty well.
Yeah.
But
Get
talking
lucky.
about loopers, how do you see yourself on the gear front? Are you a gear nerd, or do you just have the
Yeah.
pedals that are most necessary? Or
I've turned into. I guess I am a. Yeah, I am I guess a gear nerd. I've gotten less precious with it because well, you kind of have to get less precious with it if you want to get gigs around the world.
Mm.
Instead of bringing your own gear where everything's perfect. Well, I do bring my, well, not the amplifiers, you know, and so everything affects everything, you know, so I've gotten less precious with it as far as only using, you know, analog pedals or only, you know, only using anything. Whatever works by any means is all that matters, and as long as it works, that's all that matters.
yeah, do you live? Do you bring like a huge rack system, or is it just
well, it's
a basic pedal board? Or?
It's big compared to what I should do. I should keep it this simple, but as far as 6-7 albums in, I have something about this. It's a little bit taller than that because it has wheels, but it's 3/4 space. So I use 2 G major 2s. I started with the G major 1s. And yeah, then.
So you've been using G
them.
major for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Since that and Alesis, for reverb was Quadraverb.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, Michael, once again, Rob's dad, introduced me to that. But was there, and a GP8. I don't know, Roland, is that Roland GP8? But I moved on from that stuff pretty quickly. That was what was laying around Rob's house, and
so you just took what you could find.
Yeah,
and go from there.
yeah, including guitars. There was a 335, a you know, Telly, and a Gretsch. And the 335 is what I held better with the tunings. I was doing tunings kind of from day one too, as far as
you use a tons of alternate tunings. Could you talk a bit about that? How do you discover these tunings? Is it just by messing around, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. To finish off this one, is 1 G major 2 goes to, I play out of 4 amps, so 4 rented amps. You know, if it's a festival or tour in Europe, and the G major 1 is going to amp 1 and 2, and it's got pedals in the back of the rack. It's a little thinner than this.
Yeah.
It's got pedals hidden back there. It's just compact, just for fly. And then the second box down is a oh no, I'm actually backwards about that. But Sans amp for distortion to kind of EQ the distortions of each guitar. And then the second TC G major 2 is going to amp 4, which is for reverb, kind of drenched out. And it goes to amp 3 sometimes too. And the tunings, are a big part of it for. So you know, you can do rhythm and lead at the same time. You know,
with open tunings.
Right? Yeah, it sounds like, you know, it kind of creates its own weird out of tuneness. You know, because they don't stay there necessarily all that well.
No,
but that's a good thing, you know. It's
kind of generates like kind of a natural chorusing. At times.
Yeah. There's a lot of unison notes. Yeah, a lot of unison strings that happen. That'll create that. But that's from trying to copy Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I didn't know that before I understood what recording was, as far as rhythm track and lead track. You know, you're listening to it, there's this shit going on. And so I was trying to copy that. I thought he did it once, which he did a lot of it at once. But there's a bunch of songs where there's 2-3 guitars on there.
And you just wanted to be able to play it all at once.
Yeah. I gave up on that. I let him do what he does. Well, yeah. That's why I gave up on playing fast and leads very quickly. I'm more about as big and as much as possible.
Yeah. Just creating as much sonic space as possible.
Yeah, fill in the holes and at the same time try to create things that people think they hear. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know? Like you talked with the reverb that creates all these distant harmonics.
Yeah. You let people's imagination take over.
Yeah. Cool.
What's going on with Black Rebel Motorcycle Club currently?
Sitting here sweating with you guys. What I'm doing. We got a couple gigs in the U.S. Finished this album cycle's kind of, I guess if that's what you call it. Album cycle's kind of over. As far as it's time to, we toured for a year or more, right? So it's time to start recording again. So we'll do that. See what comes along as far as movies, if something, maybe like soundtrack, maybe if something shows up. Love that kind of stuff. Always have. It's a side of the band that people don't necessarily know about, especially if you're kind of a passing. Well, I don't mean passing, but a fan that is kind of aware of it. You know, don't dig into the deep tracks. Yeah, does that answer that? Yeah. I don't know. We're not really doing anything anymore. It's over.
Fine.
Cool, thank you.
Hopefully not the career, though. I just mean the album.